radio
The following
station.
program is paid for by the Charlie Butler team.
Good Sunday morning, Tri-State. This is the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show, and we've got the exact same crew that we had last week here, which I'm happy to say. To my left, the Regional Director of Churchill Mortgage is David Crow. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, everyone.
To David's left is the lady, if you see her around town, you see cars that look like a bumblebee, or you see her dressed in yellow, and that's Missy Mosby. Good morning, Missy.
Good morning. Happy Sunday Fun Day.
Missy's with FC Tucker and also very active in the local, how do we want to say about pets? I'm trying to think of the right words. In rescues.
Rescues.
In rescues. And last but not least, who is...
For those listening the week before.
Yeah, we can have Bobby play that at the start, say,
Charlie.
here's what happened last week.
Yeah.
And
A recap.
A recap.
a recap of last week.
Yeah.
Okay, it is the president of the Butler DeArmond Real Estate Network, which also owns the Charlie Butler team, and that is Candace DeArmond. Good morning, Candace.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Missy.
Good morning.
David.
Good
morning, Bobby and Tri-State.
Well, we're going to change things up a little bit. Candace was horrified last week at my comment at the end.
I don't know why.
Because I mentioned about her number, I said the real estate number, not the OnlyFans number. That was a joke. And the reason that was a joke, and take it away, Candace.
I kept seeing, I'd occasionally see like memes and stuff on Facebook, and they would say something about OnlyFans on there. And I didn't understand the meme. I thought it was a sport betting site. And I just thought, I must understand that because I'm not, I don't follow sports enough. And I would scroll right past. And then a friend of mine was over at my house one day, and she is a hairdresser. And she was talking about a client of hers that came in, and she was like, she's doing OnlyFans. And I was like,
Placing those bets. No
right.
big deal.
Hopefully she doesn't have a gambling problem, And then she was like, what do you mean? And then I said, well, hopefully it's under control or something along those lines. And she said, what do you think OnlyFans is? And then my son was home. And
Who was 18, 19, something like that at the time, probably.
Yeah, I think he was about 19 years
Yeah.
old, maybe 20. She was like, oh, no, come in here. You got to tell Mason, too. What do you think OnlyFans is? And I said, I have a sport betting site. By this point, I knew it was something different, but I still had no idea what it actually was. So that's how I learned what OnlyFans was. All this time, I've thought it, I went a very long time where I was like, oh, I guess that's something where people place bets on football games. I don't know.
They bet on, or there's things that they do, that's.
I don't know, because I have never seen it. I have only seen memes, or I saw there was something that had an advertisement in the background of something that it was just a banner. Oh, it was Mindy was showing something from one of the wrestling things, and that was on like a marquee or something in the background. I was like, oh, that makes sense. It's a sport. They're betting on the wrestlers.
They're betting,
yeah.
Yes.
I had no idea. So anyway.
So when I made that comment last week, Candace does not have an OnlyFans account.
No, I do not.
To my knowledge.
I do not.
Okay.
No.
She made the comment off the air. She said, now I've went from Hooters to OnlyFans. And
And not that there's anything wrong with Hooters or OnlyFans if somebody wants to do that. That's their choice. But I am not doing that.
Missy, a lot of people think Candace worked at Hooters. We get this all the time.
One of my very best friends worked at Hooters, and I was friends with one of the girls.
Well, I actually did work at Hooters.
Oh, okay.
Did you really?
And there's nothing wrong with work, but I didn't work there
When it first opened.
I just didn't. But I would go in, and I was always in there hanging out, and
So
I
they
guess
thought you
people
worked
would
there.
see me.
Yeah.
And they would, and then whenever I started at Keller Williams, somebody said something about, and then it's happened a few times, like, oh, the Hooters, the girl
That's
that works
funny.
at Hooters. And I'm like, no, it's not
I
me.
didn't know you worked at Hooters, Missy.
When it first opened, yes.
You two never worked
Place
together,
was
though?
packed when it first opened.
We didn't work together.
Oh, you'd moved on to OnlyFans by then.
Oh, oh my gosh.
Here we go again.
I know.
Okay, Candace does not have an OnlyFans
I
account.
do not.
I have to say that because she'll kill me if I don't. So, anyway, back at the ranch here. We went from OnlyFans to Hooters to
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I want to talk about is the animal rescue.
okay. Well, but first we got to talk about the
The rights.
and
Those lovely rates.
That's right.
David's here. I know you don't have a lot of news since last week, but
No, I don't. I just continue to say, and last week we discussed the uptick in people looking for homes. We've discussed the fact that we don't have this massive up or massive down. Rates have basically stabilized. We'll hopefully see more of a trend downward in 2025. And each week, pre-approvals have picked up. People looking to get pre-approved, to get in that buying mode. Refinances really, we had a short period coming into September, first part and through September, nationwide. Not only me, but nationwide lenders. People were trying to make that had really, sadly, purchased at a much higher rate in the last 2 years. So those have all stabilized, and we are looking at the pent-up demand. People, what we've seen, people that were hesitant to make a move because they were sitting on a 2%, 3% interest rate. Life is still happening. So people, and I'm talking about those who are already in homes, they're starting to get the understanding we're going to have to change houses. And that's causing them to ultimately accept a rate in the 6% if need be, and making the move and knowing that rates will eventually go back down. Now, are we going to 2%? No. Not unless something, God forbid, massively catastrophic happens again, such as like a COVID. Although if COVID happened again, I think we're all better equipped to deal with it second time around. So
Let's hope.
But rates will move down. Yes, rates will move down. But what I'm sharing and I'm seeing, the realtors are having upticks in these months. I'm having upticks in terms of people getting pre-approved. And so I know the market is slowly moving because we work in an industry, being real estate, mortgages, interest rates, refinance, all that. It's cyclical. It never stays continuously up. It never stays continuously down. There is always an up and a down. It's always like a wave going up and down. And so the beautiful thing is, if you find a home you like well enough to own it, buy the home. Yeah. Get in the home. Start your life. I was thrilled this past week, did a closing with a young couple, and only to come to find out all that we had discussed, I never realized he actually played golf with my son. And so this young couple went to school. They have their jobs. They ultimately got married, own the home now, and they're starting out. She's a school teacher, and they're excited. And ultimately, I did an interest rate in the 6s for them and told them same thing. They can afford it. They're not worried about it. It fits their budget, fits everything, and they're excited not to be renting. And so I think that needs to be the goal for everyone out there.
well, we need to remember rent is always 100% interest.
Yep, 100%.
So,
And I've got a few of those rentals out there myself. So, I want everybody else to buy a butt.
but
I'm joking. I'm joking.
No matter what, you're going to pay someone's mortgage.
Yep.
You're either going to pay your own mortgage or your landlord's mortgage.
Absolutely.
One way or the other.
Yep, 100%.
But the reason I think people tuned in was not to hear. I don't know if they tuned in to hear about Candace's OnlyFans or not.
Oh, my God. I'm going to throw this coffee cup across the table at you.
The reason they turned in, Missy Mosby's here, who is just done for years. I mean, I think you were one of the first guests on the show 8 years ago, and we were talking about the animals then.
Yes, I was, and I appreciate your support. And I know that you always try to help get the messages out there for us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I know Town Square Media.
Yes, absolutely. They do wonderful Pets of the Week and all of that.
And,
So thank you all. It definitely takes all of us.
Bobby, can you take a break from Christmas music to help the pets?
Oh, every Thursday we talk about our pet of the week. We partner with It Takes a Village.
Okay.
Our sister station WKDQ partners with the VHS. I think on KISS they partner with Warwick Humane Society. We do stuff with the folks out in Posey County as well. So
Great.
we're always talking about pets.
I knew you were, but I didn't know if you were so into the Christmas music. I didn't know if you want to take any breaks from it.
You can't tell this guy anything, can you?
No.
It's like a steel trap up there. He hangs on to everything.
But you don't even have to tell him things. He just comes up with them. I don't know.
So, Missy, for those that were not listening last week, give us a recap of the situation now, locally at least, with our dogs and cats.
Yeah, so actually it's a national crisis right now. And locally, we're getting hit really hard with an overpopulation of dogs and cats. And we really need people to spay and neuter. We also need people to please keep your pets. They're not disposable. They're supposed to be for their lifetime. Keep them as a family member. And, if you do get in a struggle and need some help, reach out to a rescue, reach out to, I have a Rescue Buddies Promise. Let us know. I know there's several organizations, Animal Control and VHS, and I think It Takes a Village also. They have where you can get pet food if you need it, because I know sometimes that's a struggle. So there are things out there. Please let that be your last resort to actually surrender your animal, because there are other ways to help.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Recently, sadly, my parents had to put their dog down, and
I'm sorry.
It's
hard.
It was very difficult. So I have all, and then my mom gave it all to me. Well, my dog can only have. He is very, very sensitive. So I can't. So I have all this stuff that I don't know what to do with. Can I take it and donate it? Does it have to be closed? Because some of it has been opened. And I just haven't known what to do.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And we get that a lot. And yes, you can donate it.
Okay.
I know Animal Control does take things. Local rescues do. I take them as well from
Okay.
Buddy's Promise and, help give them to people in need. So, yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to help.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that was a little thing, but
Yes,
it was
and
a question.
a lot
That's
of people-
great, Candace. It really
It
is.
is.
Yeah, that's
And if you get dog food or cat food that your cat or dog doesn't eat, please don't just throw it away. Let a rescue know, and we can make sure that, either a foster gets that to feed their dog, or someone in need can have some dog or cat food.
and there's so many things to talk about, but I know that I'm going back a few years, but I remember when you were instrumental, as was Alley Cat Allies came in to Spencer
Yes.
County,
Yes.
and where they were freezing cats.
What?
Yes, they were putting cats in the freezer.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, and so Missy, I know you know more about this than I do.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a very bad situation where there was a cat or kitten that was sick, and instead of euthanizing it, it was put in the freezer to end its life. And just terrible, terrible way to die. Just not fair. So
Apparently, they did that a few other times
yes,
too.
yeah, and so they were investigated, and it was terrible, and we did help bring that to light and just help raise awareness that that is not something to do.
No.
Yeah.
Please euthanize. If your animals get to the point where they are sick, please humanely euthanize them. Don't put them in a freezer to die.
I followed that story, and I know that because of the pressure you guys put on, that they, many people there, they should have lost their jobs.
Yes, a lot of people lost their jobs. Yeah, we
And-
went to the hearings and all of that. So.
Yes, and I think they're up and running again, aren't they?
They are. They
Good.
are. It's under new management. Things are going great, and they're actually saving lives.
Good. That's great. That's great to hear. But in the Evansville area, in the tri-state where you work at mainly, I know it's mainly here in southern Indiana, but you mentioned the pet food, but we were doing some volunteer work for It Takes a Village,
Yes.
okay? And a lady came in, older lady, and you see she had tears in her eyes, but she couldn't afford it. She couldn't afford to keep her dog. So I've been blessed. I can't afford things like this. But what happens when you go to Blue Pearl? Blue Pearl is a veterinary clinic in Louisville filled with specialists that do amazing work, but it's also very expensive because they are some of the best specialists in the country. And so what do you do when people that have an animal in that situation, Missy, where they may have to go to Blue Pearl or someplace like that?
Yeah, it is terrible. We hear it all the time because, our animal pet emergency center isn't open every evening and holidays like it used to be. We have a terrible vet shortage here in the area. And once again, that's a nationwide crisis as well. It's just a really bad vet shortage right now. People aren't going into veterinarian school.
They don't make any money.
No, and you have to go so long to become a veterinarian, and then a lot of the veterinarian clinics are being bought out by corporations, and that's just a whole nother story. But
that's the only way those vets,
yes,
the ones that are getting ready to retire. I don't know if you guys, I had a vet tell me, I've been vet a long time, they make $60,000 a year on average.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, for all the schooling and training.
That's what I was going to say.
Everything
That's
that
not
they
a
go
cheap
through.
endeavor
And
pathway for education to ultimately end up with $60,000 a year.
Exactly.
No, it's not.
And when a pet is sick, they can't tell you what's wrong with them. You have to diagnose it and figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to answer your question about, what can they do if you can't afford it? There are organizations out there that do help with different things. There is an organization called Paw Street, PAW Street. They have a website as well that you can go on to. They do help with some, as long as you fit income guidelines and things like that. They have some stipulations and things that they do. Sometimes you can reach out to some of the local rescues. They can help you, or you can set up a GoFundMe account and see if you can have people that will actually help with that. Sometimes they can also call into whatever animal clinic you go to, and people can give donations to help you with taking care of that pet.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Deb Schaefer what's the name of her clinic I've been developing? All God's Creatures.
Yes, All God's Creatures.
You go up there and does some very specialty type things, but she's not very expensive because she still owns it herself.
Yes.
And that's she's become known around here as a vet of last resort. Mm-hmm. I know people that they've wanted to euthanize their dogs. They said there's no, and I saw a guy up there. He said they told me to put him to sleep 7 years ago, and I brought him here, and he's guys are running around, and
yes,
but if someone like that, you got people like that who try to help, and but again, and also for those that can kind of afford it, that want to do something, and your pet needs specialty care. Blue Pearl, who we talk about in Louisville, I'm sure there are others, but Blue Pearl does finance too.
Yes, they do have financing options as well.
Yeah. But what do you want to talk, Missy? There's so many things to talk about. I'm going to just kind of turn it over to you here for a few minutes and just let you freely, unless you guys have got a specific question.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Only because for the last 2 weeks, we've been discussing the shelters and the overpopulation. The overpopulation.
Yes.
And is there any type of federal regulation? We talk about breeders that are continuously farming out the dogs and breeding, and then you're telling us that some of the rescues have been delivered 7 and 8 month old puppies from breeders that ultimately couldn't sell the dogs. Yeah. Is there any type of regulation to help slow that down?
I tell you what, I wish we could get it. I have gone up to the State House so many times, and unfortunately, it's such a big business. And a lot of these big breeders talk to our legislatures and things like that with their lobbyists, that it's so hard to get the regulations that we need to get to stop some of this. I just recently took in a new foster, and I'm going to be a foster failure because I'm adopting this one. It was a puppy mill breeder.
That's a failure.
If I'm going to be a failure, it might as well be it. But she was a puppy mill, and this poor baby was in a rabbit pen all of her life for 8 to 9 years with another dog, and they would put a male in when they went in heat. Then they would take both dogs out. She'd be in there. The only human touch she would get is when that breeder would take those puppies away from her to sell them. So when I got her, she'd never been on grass. She'd never eaten out of a bowl. She'd never had a human touch her or love her. And she's making great strides at my house. So it just is not fair to adopt her out. So now she's part of my crew, and she's learning how to use the doggy door. And, it's just things like that you can do, and you give them love that they've never had it before, and it is so rewarding. So I'm begging people to please reach out to all of your rescues, and a terrible foster shortage right now too. We need fosters, we need adopters. Rescues in general just need so much help right now. And hey, it's the holiday season, so let's give them some holiday love.
So, what are some of the places people can help around here, Missy?
So, animal control, you can sign up to, help them help walk the dogs, do stuff with the cats, things like that. We do have several great rescue organizations, and most of them have a website and an online appearance where you can actually go in and see what they need as far as fostering, or if they need people to come in and help, volunteers, or if they need specific items for the animals. Mm-hmm. So there's just so many different things you can do. Most of them have wish list on Amazon even, that you can go on and, pick out what they need, have it delivered right there to them. But I always tell people, when I'm having a bad day, I go down to animal control. I take a couple of boxes of treats for cats and dogs. I walk around, I talk to the dogs and cats, give them treats, and you would not believe what that does, not only for you, but for that dog, for them to know that someone just a human touch and that someone loves them. And then I also do bring specialties for the workers there too, because they go through so much. That is just a terror. I mean, they do such a great job, but it's not a job I could ever do.
No, I couldn't either.
I wouldn't be able to.
And Candace, I don't mean dominate here. Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. The Warwick County Humane Society. They have always, and we got a cat from them several years ago.
They do a great job.
They do a great job there, and but they always advertise there's no kill.
Yes.
Have they been able to maintain that?
I really haven't talked to them recently. I know that they definitely try. Now, if there's a dog that's in a medical emergency or something like that, that's a whole different situation.
Right.
But Warwick Humane Society does a great job, and I know they've got a big campaign going right now, too, for a new facility. So get on their website. I know Giving Tuesday was a couple weeks ago, but, it can be Giving December. So,
exactly.
All of these rescues need our help, not only monetarily, but just emotionally and whatever you can do to help.
And, of course, I think Paws does a great job.
Paws does as well. Yeah, they have they don't actually have a facility, so all of theirs is done through fosters.
Right.
They bring them into their homes. Like we've talked about, It Takes a Village. They do a great job. They've got a facility here, and I think one in Spencer County, I believe, Petersburg. Yeah, they have a lot of fosters and volunteers. We have a new one called Project ARF that just recently they started to specifically help animal control and getting animals to keep them from being euthanized. So there's just a lot of organizations you can reach out to, and they're always looking for volunteers, donations, whatever you can do to help would be much appreciated.
And we'll get back to that in just a second, but we haven't paid any bills yet. So the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show is brought to you by Churchill Mortgage. And for those of you that have been longtime listeners, you hear about them on Dave Ramsey. As I found out exactly, I didn't know how long it was until David told me. That's 28 years. I knew it was over 25. But 28 years, Dave Ramsey's been endorsed them several times an hour. And I know he thinks highly. And David is, as we mentioned, is the regional director for Churchill Mortgage and covers Indiana, Kentucky, and Florida.
Yes.
Florida's a tough gig, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't spend a lot of marketing dollars in Florida.
There's probably a lot of competition, just like with
I would assume so. And it's more about helping people that are here locally that are moving to Florida or moving back, word of mouth, family, other very satisfied clients and so forth. Or that, for a lot, they're looking to go. And so it's on my email signature. It's on everything out there, Indiana, Kentucky, Florida. So I get the random calls and have done loans in Florida. But during the refinance boom, that was a little bit more helpful, and people telling people and everybody. So I'd be lying if I said my Florida business hasn't slowed down in the last year and a half.
And also brought to you by Bossy Title, Jeff Bossy and all his great people and dogs. Let's talk about somebody with talking about the dogs. Bossy Title has definitely gone to the dogs with Norm and Phil there. Hey, if you even go out and see Norm and Phil, you better bring food if you don't see Norm. But Norm that'll make him get up out of his bed. He's got a bed in the sun in Jeff's office. I'm assuming Phil probably does too now. But
did whenever I was there was a little bitty area for Phil.
Yeah. And Norm's got the big area, of course. But he is Norm.
Norm was a very good big brother. He was very good to Phil.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. But Bossy Title does a great job. Claire Kincaid, Kelly Norton. I'll leaving people out. I know.
You shouldn't have even started that.
No, but
we'll do the phone number 812-421-4000.
Candace trying to save me here, but she also knows there's no saving me.
No.
And 3 minutes. We got Bobby. Why don't we just go? Let's go longer. I don't understand.
I would like Missy to give the website again that people can go to. I know that we can.
Good idea.
That's a
yes, yeah. And one person, I left out Vanderburg Humane Society, and I don't want to get in trouble because they do great things too.
Yes,
they
do.
also have a campaign going to help with their kennels spaces too. So please, that's another great place to help donate. But you can go to evansville.in.gov and go to animal control, and there is a Spirit Medical Fund donation button now that you can go there and actually help donate to take care of sick animals, or maybe they got hit by a car, or maybe they got bit by another dog. Unfortunately, as a city government, we don't have the money to put in the budget for those type of expenses, so we do have to rely on public donations to help take care of animals in need, so they don't have to be euthanized.
So you're probably glad. So I can't beat you up too much here, but so you're not supporting the band. You're not supporting the animals. What do you? Are you guys the ones that tore the roads up too?
Probably. Probably.
She knows I'm kidding her. But Missy, we got 2 minutes left. It's yours. Tell whatever you want to talk about as far. But what we haven't talked about is Buddy's Promise.
Yes. So Buddy's Promise was started when my dog named Buddy passed away several years ago, and in his memory, I go out and I do rescue dogs from very bad situations. I also help with the community if someone is having problems with getting food or maybe paying for a vet bill or something like that. We do help find ways to help support people, but we also just reach out and help other rescues with their needs. We constantly put out calls and pleas for what other rescues are needing.
So, and Missy, we haven't given you a chance to talk about anyone. If you look for Missy's number, I'm going to get Missy now. She doesn't advertise in the bathrooms and bars anymore.
Not anymore.
All right, see, I left you alone, Candace.
You did.
Johnny Advertising.
People still talk about that every once in a while. I'll be talking about you. Say, I remember her. She used to advertise in the
It was effective. Very effective. Yeah.
And what were you doing? What were you doing in there? Oh, you were Bobby G back then. You weren't respectable.
Working those late nights at Fast Eddie's, seeing her face above the urinal. Absolutely.
That's right. Fast Eddie's.
And the pub.
Yes.
I remember being in the pub and seeing it. But was it in the ladies' bathrooms too?
Yes, it was. And I always had a Yorkie and a boxer.
Yep. So, Missy, Bobby's telling us to wrap it up. Your number, somebody wants to buy a home from you.
812-453-MISY, which is 6479.
453 Missy. If you can figure out what on your phone how to do that, do that. Candace,
they can reach me on my cell phone at 812-455-6338, or they can call the team phone, and that is 812-430-1708.
All right. And are you happy you got left alone today?
I didn't get left completely alone.
Okay, well, close, but I won't part with anything. Okay.
No.
David Crow, David, how can they want to buy a home and need to get a pre-approval, how do they do that?
Folks, give me a call. Give me a text. 270-222-0676.
Charlie Butler team, if we can't sell your house, we'll buy it. 812-499-7758. Missy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For Candace Yarman, Missy Mosby, David Crow, this is Charlie Butler. Have a great Sunday.
This program has been paid for by the Charlie Butler team. From the Kate Foppel Ford Studios, this is News Talk 1280 WGBF.